Alright everyone, it's time for a philosophical admonition to people. Stop eating fast food. Yes, by the way, that means all of it. I love it when some people boil it down to politics and they're like, well, I eat at Chick-fil-A because they're not woke. They're a Christian company. Okay, so you pound your gullet with salt and grease, but it's not woke salt and grease, so, your body absorbs it better. So when you become fat and hideous, at least, you can still carry your cross, if you can even get up at that point. Or someone's like leftist, so they're like, well, Chick-fil-A, whatever, I can't remember the pronunciation, I don't give a fuck, never eaten there, never will. They're evil because, they don't support gay rights or something like that, or abortion. I go to Burger King because Burger King celebrated Women's Day, and it's just all fucking cringe, and it's completely stupid because the underlying point is, think about the corporation, the company, for what it really is and what it really does. It's there to sell you food. It's selling you shitty food that's gunking your body up because it's full of corn syrup and binding products and chemicals, and the meat came from animals that were injected over and over again with fucking growth hormones and steroids probably, and it's not good for you. Eating this food in excess will eventually kill you. Eating it even in small quantities is still not healthy. I love it when, you spar with people, you're like, you're basically trolling Burger King or something. And they're like, well, eating there once in a while is not going to hurt you. Well, yes, and also taking a little bit of arsenic once in a while is medically insignificant. You took a micro dose of cyanide. It's like, are people going to start doing that? The apologists for this sort of crap that people are putting in their bodies, at some point, are they going to be like, in Silicon Valley, it's fashionable to microdose LSD and other drugs like psychedelics to improve, mental performance, I suppose, or some stupid hippie shit like that? Are people going to start microdosing poison on a regular basis because they're convinced that it's actually medicinal? Oh, well, don't worry, I'm no nut or anything like that, but, I take a little bit of cyanide each day, and I figure it helps kill germs in my body or something. I half expect them to do this. Even a little bit of such food is not good for you. Now, I'm not talking about restaurants in general. I'm talking about sleazy, greasy, triple repackaged, globalized, corn binder-filled swill. Unfortunately, a lot of the restaurants that people go to, because they're going to it for the convenience of it being quick, as opposed to going to restaurants that are at least marginally more healthy and just as fast, the whole idea is the convenience. Like in the U.S. especially, it's like drive-thrus and stuff. People drive through. They're not really going there for a social experience or anything like that. They pull up, they say, I need my shake, I'm on my work break or something. They get their sugar, they get their fat, they get their high-calorie, greasy corn binder swill, and then they stuff their gullet in the parking lot for 5 minutes and waddle back to work to sit in a cubicle and get no exercise. Is there any wonder why people are sick in many societies? And in societies that are less geared towards that. And part of it really is, I think, in the United States sense, especially vehicle culture, vehicular travel. People often, they'll commute, 20, 30 minutes to work. It's a little bit different, I think, maybe here. Usually urban areas are associated in the United States, again. Living in Amsterdam, speaking as an American, urban areas tend to overlap in the United States, especially with higher rates of obesity. Mainly because people, they drive to work and stuff. Here, where there's more bicycling and jogging and shit, because sometimes it's more compact, it's more concentrated, I think. A lot of people don't even appear to own cars, really. They're getting more exercise, but also there's fewer such restaurants. I've seen a couple of Burger Kings, and there's certainly other burger joints and stuff. They exist, but they're not as prevalent. I think in a city, here of, 500,000 people, there's probably a tenth as many fast food joints as in a comparable city in the U.S., like Boston. Boston especially is full of Dunkin' Donuts and anything that deals with donuts. You get the Boston cream and stuff. I know it's really tempting. That creamy center really gets you going, but you shouldn't be eating it. At the end of the day, you're poisoning yourself. Refined sugar, you're not really supposed to eat any. There's really no reason to put any refined sugar in your diet. I don't ever eat sugary foods. I'll give myself as an anecdote. It's been years, essentially, since I ate at Popeye's chicken the year before last or something in the airport. It was admittedly, like, the po' boy fish was, pretty good. Cajun fish or whatever was pretty good. But that's just because I think, it was the one next to the gate, and I get social anxiety if I wander away from my gate, even if I'm 3-4 hours early, because I'm afraid there's going to be some major announcement that I need to hear, like the gate change or something. I don't know, I'm mentally fried. Other than that, though, I haven't really had fast food in years. I don't drink soda. I don't eat dessert, like almost never. If Liz makes like a pie or something, I'll have a piece, but it's a very limited amount. And it's like, even with those recipes, and I've thought about this, I was thinking, like, I'm a sucker for blackberry pie, but not if it's particularly sweet. I can remember my mom one time made it, and I think she either forgot to put all the sugar in it or must have ran out or something, because it was basically a really concentrated blackberry flavor, and it wasn't really sweet. It was almost a little bit bitter. It was the best pie I ever had. I just, maybe it's a genetic problem, and I just don't like sweets like other people. Savory, yes, but even then, there's a big difference between processed meat, like the meat patties you get in Burger King or McDonald's or something. It's not entirely meat. It's probably come from multiple life forms, because they just smash them all together, and then the machine spits out a pink goo and they form it into molds. Number one, it's kind of disgusting. Number two, unethical factory farming usually, so, think of the moo cows. Think of the clucky little chickens and stuff that you're having ground up for your meal. Those fucking chicken nuggets don't look like that naturally. And it's not good for you. It's different from if you have like a steak. See, I'm not a vegetarian. A lot of people seem to think that I am. Unprocessed meat is healthier. Now, there are certain times when processed meat in some form is called for, and then you can get stuff that's not like corn binders and shit like that. Cook it yourself. Sometimes, you're making meatballs or something. You're probably not shaving up a steak and forming it into meatballs or something. Something like that. There's really no reason, though, to go and pay somebody else, some 18-year-old kid usually, to slap a piece of 80% meat, 20% soy and corn binder bullshit on the grill, douse it in grease, and then serve you up a bunch of overpriced potato sticks. There's no reason for it. Number one, you're fucking yourself. Number two, you probably, how much lifespan does each one of those gullet-pounding burgers, the triple goiter pounder with cheese, how many minutes does it take off your life? I bet it's way more than a pack of cigarettes. Considering the caloric content, the salt content, usually sugar, all of the corn byproducts that technically aren't even edible. They just go right through your system and they fuck your intestines up, by the way, when they get there, and causing gastric difficulties that can last for a while. And then, afterwards, if it's a big meal, you feel miserable anyway. The last time you went in, you had your goiter pounder and you had your large fry and your shake and stuff. Afterwards, you were sweating from the salt, and your heart was beating more, and you felt like, it tasted so good, 10 minutes ago. Why would you even put yourself through it? By the way, watch Super Size Me. A lot of that logic still applies. They may have done away at McDonald's with the Super Size Me option, but the food is still unhealthy. And as it's pointed out there, because of dressing and croutons and shit like that, some of those fucking salads have more calories than the fucking hamburgers do. I think the worst thing you can do, though, is eat French fries. Anything like a starchy. Because you're getting a lot of calories with absolutely no nutrition. It's worse than the beef byproducts that they call a hamburger, honestly. It's like they had that one dude. He's probably dead of a heart attack by now. The one dude on there that looked vaguely like the Joey Ramone or something. And he's like, well, I only eat the burgers. I never have fries or anything. And he seemed skinny. But that dude, he must have like a job where he walks 10 miles a day if he's eating hamburgers every day. It's just not good for you. I call upon you. It's not even a boycott based on, politics or anything. I wouldn't eat at Chick-fil-A either, despite the fact that supposedly they fight against wokeness. I'm not a religious Christian or anything like that, so, there's that part. But it's just, why? Whereas the convenience is offset by the fact that you'll end up spending time in the hospital when you're, like, over 50. Oh, yeah, I had a stroke, but I saved, like, so many minutes of work time by going to McDonald's instead of cooking a meal for myself. And it tasted great at the time. Now I can't taste anything because my tongue's hanging out of my mouth and I chewed it off with stroke face or something. But yeah, it was good while it lasted for those 50 plus years. Now I'm fucked up. Whoops. Guess I should have gone with the salad option and not at Taco Bell. That's about all. Peace out.